Hello, everybody, and I'm just going to check my sound and look at Hyro. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for what we hope will become a series of live streams from the Pencil team. My name is Tom Edwards. I'm the head of content here at Pencil, and I am joined today by my colleague from the product team, Hyro Cabello. Hyro, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Thank you, Tom.
Good stuff. Brilliant. All right. So the stream, those of you that joined us last week will know that technical issues have been something that did plague us last week. This week we seem to be live on all platforms. So I am just going to go ahead and crack straight into it. So this week we are talking all about agents. So I know this is one that everybody in the AI and marketing world is extremely excited about. And we are very excited about it here at Pencil as well. So Hiro has been leading the charge on agents in the product team. And so we're going to go through everything the team has built, and we're going to talk about why we are super excited about the prospect of AI agents revolutionizing the advertising and marketing space. So let's get into it, Hiro. I guess if we take things from the very top, do you want to just give me an explanation of exactly what an agent is? What are we thinking about when we think about agents?
Yeah, that is a very good first question because there is, I believe, not a real industry standard of what an agent is, what an assistant is. Many companies call things slightly different. For us, an agent is an AI companion, and ultimately it's a tool that helps creative people, the actual people who use Pencil, achieve their goals. So it's very generic, and we believe that as far as this AI tool helps you do the job in a chat format, it's an agent for us.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that there are lots of different definitions because it does feel like many different companies and people and thought influencers and such have different definitions of what an agent is. And so I think it's important for us to be clear here that we are not talking about like, an all-encompassing agent that's just going to remove all of the humans from your organization. We're not in dystopian world. We're not in the Terminator. We're talking about just essentially like very useful tools. Is that right?
Oh, that's absolutely correct. And it's very important that for us, agents are not, again, they are tools to help people. They are not autonomous. They don't think on their own right now in Pencil, at least for the moment. You can't, for example, have an agent that automatically performs an action. But agents are just tools that are here to help you, mostly to uncover information or to fact check you or to do actions within the Pencil ecosystem that either make you faster or make you make a smarter decision with the data that they have.
Yeah, and so I kind of put the title on here as agents for creatives, right? Because I think we often think about in the AI space about agents that are for developers to build software essentially. And what we're really talking about is agents that work on behalf of creatives in lots of senses, right? And so how does that differ? What's the kind of interesting you know thought behind that?
Yeah, so let me try to elaborate on it. When many people think about AI, they're thinking about AI on the sense of get this code done for me or give me these results to this particular question that I have. But when we talk about creative people, there is a massive use case for agents when it comes to inspire yourself, to test a new market, to help you find what is the right audience you're trying to target. So agents in the context of a creative workflow can be used to accelerate dramatically how a creative person validates that the work that they're doing is actually relevant for a given market, a given audience, or just that their core work is correctly on brand and so on. So that is why we say that agents are ultimately here to help creative people
Yeah.
get things done faster, because there is this massive use case of agents for the creative part rather than just delivering or building things.
Brilliant. So for those watching, you will hopefully have noticed that we've just been joined by Pencil CEO Will Hanschel. Hey, Will, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Very good. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Good stuff. All right, so look, Will, let's come over to you. Hopefully, you'll have heard the end of Jairo's answer there. He was just talking about the way that we're thinking about agents, and I know this is something that you've been thinking about a lot. Like, what does that future look like with agents interacting with humans versus this idea of agents just taking over everything and just being plumbed together and working on their own? And I know that we are very much in the camp that we want to be empowering humans and have humans in the loop. So do you want to talk a bit about that? Why that's kind of at the center of your thinking with the development of agents?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it all starts with the mission, right? Of Pencil. We're called Pencil because we think AI should be a tool for people and not a replacement for people, like a pencil. And agents, you know, for us, was a big existential question. If AI is suddenly using tools instead of people, isn't that counter to the mission? Like, should we even ship agents? Should we build agents? And that's one line of thinking. The other line of thinking is every client is asking for it. Every tech vendor is offering it. The writing is on the wall that it is a future paradigm for AI as a class of technology. You can't avoid that. So the question then becomes, how do you build agents in a way that is consistent with our mission? Now, we looked at lots of ways this is being deployed in the market, and one of the common ways you mentioned, plumbing, Tom, is like this idea that instead of a team with a manager, and in the context of marketing, maybe a client who writes a brief, and then a strategist who kind of responds to it, and then a writer and a designer and a video editor, and you basically have an agent that replaces all of those people, does that job, and you kind of plumb the agents together and replace that entire team. And there are lots of diagrams that you can see on social media of people promoting this idea that you don't need a team anymore, you just need a team of agents instead of a team of people. That for sure is inconsistent with our mission. And I think that there's a danger that that becomes like the obvious way that everyone thinks that agents have to work. I just don't think it does. I mean, there's a lot of evidence that on any given task, like a marketing client writing a brief and then an agency strategist responding to that brief, there are bits of that AI can do really well. And there are bits of that humans can do really well. And why wouldn't we build a system that allowed the humans to contribute to their maximum capability and the AI to do the same? So in Pencil, it's much less about, when you look at the feature, if you try it, you go to our website and sign up and try it, it's much less about building a team of agents and plumbing them together to replace the team of people that you have. And it's much more about giving each of the people in your team, in those seats, access to a little sidekick that can help them do their job better, faster, in more surprising ways. And often it is surprising, right? Like, it's like having a superpower. But it's someone an agent is something that partners with you to do your job, does not replace your job. And we really are building for that agentic future as opposed to the kind of plumbing one.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're right. You do see a lot of these diagrams of people talking about how they're just going to build their entire organization out of AIs that will talk to each other and just remove all of the humans. I think there's some kind of research has been done on the sort of the failure rate. If you do that too many times, they kind of start to descend into chaos, because they're probabilistic tools. There's some data that's been done on this that sort of shows that actually it becomes less coherent over time if you don't have that kind of human decision maker sort of sitting within that infrastructure and essentially making judgment calls. Obviously have to make fewer of those judgment calls over time, I think, but there's still a need for that in a mathematical sense as well as a creative one, I think.
I agree now, but I think the whole argument, any argument that starts with there's still a need for people because, I think is a slippery slope.
Okay.
You're not wrong. That is the current state, right? That it's good to have, you need a human working with the agent, otherwise the agents get it wrong at a certain percentage of the time and the whole system you've tried to build falls apart. That's not the reason to be against it. The reason to be against it, I think, is in the creative space. People want to be engaged in creative work. That's why everyone's so pissed off that AI suddenly can do some of it, right? It's like, actually, can't you get the AI to do the laundry so I can write the poetry? It's like, I want to do this. And I think that's what we want to tap into, right? There's a bunch of people in creative spaces that want to do creative work. So we want to give them tools to help them do that. And whether the AI can do all, some, or none of the task is almost irrelevant, right? It's like in the future, I don't doubt that it will be technically possible for an AI to do 99% of a role. That doesn't mean that we should all go to that future. There's a different future where humans and AI do it together, um, because the humans want it done that way, right? Not
Yeah.
because the tech doesn't allow it to be done any other way.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, I guess what you're saying is that if you're a, marketing director at a large company, there's kind of some sense of reassurance in having human creativity sitting underneath a big brand campaign. There's some sense that it's maybe got like some degree of human empathy at some point in that chain that makes it more resonant for other humans.
I, totally. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be about how you as a business owner or a head of marketing choose to build your business and your brand. Like just like today, right? There are some look at direct to consumer brands out there, right? A lot of them
Yeah.
are very exciting. Some of them choose to be very brand led. Some of them choose to be very performance marketing led. You choose to build your business in a certain way. I think in the future there will be D2C brands that choose to be very AI oriented, like, and everything is done by an AI, and it's one founder and a bunch of AIs, and
Yeah.
they build a business that way. And there will be others that choose to be no AI at all. Everything is hand done, and it's going to cost a hell of a lot more, and that's going to have to be reflected in their pricing and their positioning and everything. And there's going to be some that choose to be hybrid, and I think there's the benefit of having the best of both worlds, right? You get the speed, you get the cost of bringing AI in, but you also get the humanity in the small details that even if it's just people behind the scenes speaking to other people like we're doing here. We're part of an AI company and we're still speaking to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's a choice that the people in control can make.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, fully agree with that. So, Hiro, why don't we come over to you then, and talk about what we've actually built? What kind of tasks are agents handling for us right now inside Pencil that people can go and use? What are the real use cases that you're most excited about?
Yeah, so there is quite a few, and we have actually a catalog of default agents that you can check at the moment you log into Pencil. But one of the core things that we need to think is that agents is a framework, and actually the most powerful feature that we have created is the fact that any user can create their own agent for their own particular niche task, and that is where the power of agents really shines. The fact that if you have a particular thing that you have to do, like for example, um, pretend that again you want to research an audience in a high level of detail, or that you're launching a campaign based on a very specific city, and you want to research what are going to be the events on the next 3 months that might impact my particular creative. Those use cases you can just go right now and build on your own, almost with no assistant, because the benefit of being able to build agents is like you give the power to any creative user or any Pencil user. You give them the power to create their own AI tools and be able to access these state-of-the-art AI models in a very controlled environment that they can tweak and that they can adapt and that they can, once done, share with all of their colleagues.
Anything to add there, Will? Anything that you're especially excited about in the product today that you want to kind of touch on?
I think just the control and configurability that agents offers, and the opportunity for people to work together better because of agents, right? Like this idea that Hiro mentioned, that you can create an agent that does a specific thing with AI that you find really valuable. And our team is doing this already inside Pencil, right? Like they found a little thing that they do every day in their workflow. They've built a little agent that helps them do it, and then they can share that with other people to help them. And I think that community aspect of like, I built this little thing, it really helps me and you might like it too, I think is such a cool example of how to build agents for people and
Yeah.
not just to do work that people once did. It's empowering and it feels great, and it gets you the productivity benefits of AI while keeping everyone excited and motivated, and like it just makes the company feel like it's moving faster and we're leveraging the technology without people feeling afraid by that change.
Yeah. And to be super clear here, we're not expecting people to have any like technical background to be able to build these agents, right? Like it's like anybody can hop in and start playing with the tools.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hyro even insisted on a feature where instead of having to like specify the agent and prompt it, you can just kind of say what you want the agent to roughly do, and then you can generate your own configuration for the agent. So the AI will help you build the agent, as it were. And I think GPTs by OpenAI did do something very similar like this. That's really key because we wanted building agents to feel easy for everyone and very democratic. Like, not be something that was technical that only a few people in your team could do on behalf of everyone else. It's going to making little agents to help you and then sharing them with others should be a core part of doing work in the future.
And just to elaborate on how important this really is for us, we just saw an example internally on how one of our creative team members built an agent completely on her own that analyzes video scripts to detect like what are some potential combination of cut downs that they can do. And the fact that somebody with absolutely no technical knowledge whatsoever can suddenly out of nowhere create a tool that dramatically helps her on a usually really, really boring task that requires you to watch like hours of footage to find good combinations is astonishing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, when you look forward, when you project this kind of technology out into the future, you're just going to start to see all these little productivity gains all over organizations, right? And then they're all just going to add up to this massive cumulative like transformation in the way that people do business. And I really do feel like, our industry in marketing and advertising feels like the kind of industry that's quite ahead of the curve on this, and you're already starting to see it. We're starting to see it inside our organization already. Really is incredibly exciting. So on that theme of looking forward then, should we talk about what's coming? So we've obviously we've launched, but I mean, maybe Will, I'll come first to you, and then Haro will come to you. Like, what are you most excited about for agents in Pencil in the coming year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways this can go, and that's why we talk about it as a framework or as a paradigm as opposed to just a feature. It's a whole new way of applying AI to work. I'll let Hyro talk about some of the specific details that we think are exciting, but I think one of the big ideas is just going back to the conversation we just had, right? Like, if the mission of Pencil is for AI to be a tool for people, and we want to empower creative people to use AI, one of the aspects of that is allowing creative people to monetize AI, right? So, this little process we mentioned where someone on our team built an agent, shared it with everyone else, and everyone else uses it too. If you extrapolate that, there's an idea that, much like an app store, creative people across the marketing industry can build little agents that do specific things in Pencil, can submit them to us for approval, and then we can publish them to every Pencil workspace. And from an SMB perspective, that sounds pretty obvious and cool, very similar to what OpenAI has done with GPTs. But when you think about the enterprise, right, and you think about, creative people influencing the way that work is done inside professional creative teams, deep inside businesses, inside, like, nothing of that happens today, right? Like, you don't get to choose what tools you use, but because Pencil is an enterprise solution that's already been bought into by big companies, the functionality within it is now informed and monetizable by independent creative people all over the world as well. And I think that is very new. And I think that offers a way for creative people to make money off of big brands, to work with big brands in new ways, to work with, employers of creative people like agencies in new ways. Instead of selling your time to an agency that employs you, you might choose to be, an entrepreneurial creative who builds agents, and your agents make you money working for these big brands and these agencies, right? And I think that we need to give creative people new business models, not just new functionality. And I think we're always looking for ways to walk the walk on how we're empowering creative people. And I think the future of agents being a marketplace where you can monetize is definitely one of them.
100%. Yeah, I think that's a very, optimistic, like the most optimistic view on the future of AI, in my opinion anyway, is that everybody becomes like the CEO of their own little sort of empire, right? And then they've all got agents working on their behalf, but they're sitting in the middle, making decisions and bringing the agency to the party, I suppose, and the creativity in many ways. So Hyro will kind of mention that some of the big picture thinking there. So do you want to get into the specifics?
Yeah, I'll go into the specifics, and I'll go back to what you said before. For many people, agents, they are expecting like an overnight solution to every problem they have. But in reality, what we are seeing is like agents and in general AI, where it shines is to taking this task that today takes 15 minutes and making it down to 5, or taking this thing that used to take 10 and now it takes 2. And going pragmatic, what we were trying to build now, like within the next 2 to 3 months, is a way for you to take one of your agents and be able to use it at scale, where you can, for example, take an agent that does something with an image, like for example, either removing a background or changing a character or describing the image, and be able to do a bulk operation like, here is the 50 assets that I've received from my customer and I need to do this one action 50 times. So we're gonna bring you an ability inside Pencil where you can basically do these bulk agent operations. And we hope that the moment you again take this 15-minute task and you reduce it to 5 minutes, and you can multiply that by the 50 times you actually had to do it, that ultimately helps the creative people that use Pencil to spend much more time on the creativity part and less time on the really boring, repetitive tasks that ultimately are still part of our day-to-day.
Awesome. Okay. And so in terms of feedback from users, it's obviously early days, but what kind of thing are we hoping to get back from people? If people are going to be commenting on the videos that we're posting around this, like what is it that we're looking to hear back from the Pencil community in terms of what they're loving, what they're hating, or well, hopefully not hating anything. But yeah, in terms of feedback, what is it that we want from the community?
I think can I do X with agents? I've got an idea. Is it possible? Or I've tried something and it's not possible. Can we make it possible? That's what we hope to get. I think AI as a whole in the kind of chat box era, the chat GPT era, has like a blank page problem where people know that it's really capable because they've heard it or they've seen examples, but they kind of don't know what to do when they land on the blank page. They don't know what to type in. They don't know what they don't know. So I think it takes the early adopters figuring it out, building things and showing everyone else. So yeah, as much ideas and questions of what is possible, I think, from people would be helpful and would be cool to see.
Awesome. Okay, and so look, I'll put this out to both of you. Is there anything that that we haven't covered off today that either of you think is important to put out there or to mention while we're on the topic of agents at Pencil?
I just want to mention the fact that you can just go on and try it out, and that it's not a technology that anyone needs to be afraid of, because as Will mentioned, today you can go to Pencil and you can still do everything that you could do before agents in exactly the same way. They're here to help you. So at any point we are like putting it in your face on a way. And even when it comes to this idea of what can you build with it, we are really looking forward to hear those kind of questions. As a matter of fact, go ahead and build an agent that uses the transcript of this video to propose good ideas. That will be a fantastic use case on how an agent can bring creativity and how you can do a very fun demo of testing agents as a whole.
Awesome. Yeah, Will?
Yeah, I would just build on what Hyros was saying. Agents is such a big deal. We've made an explicit call to not just make it available in the Pro version of Pencil, which is very expensive and is used by the big companies. It's also available in Core, which is our tool for anyone, and which you can try for free. So it's important, I think, with not to feature gate too much with new stuff. Even if it's really powerful and valuable, we're committed to making things available for anyone to try. And the more powerful they are, the more they should be available to everyone. So yeah, you can go and try it for free.
Wonderful. All right. Well, look, I think that's a good spot to wrap up. So everybody watching, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to be back here every week on Tuesdays, we're going to be talking to product people, as you've seen today. We're going to be talking to creative people. And as you've also seen today, we're going to be bringing the leadership of the company in to talk directly to you guys about what we've got going on. We've got a whole heap of super exciting announcements coming up. We've got stuff going on every day with the product team. So make sure you are hitting the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or following us on LinkedIn and bookmarking these events, because this is where you will hear all of the news about what we've got going on. But for today, I think we'll leave it there. So Jairo, Will, thanks so much for jumping on.
Thanks, everybody.
And everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.